Dave, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me today. Congratulations.
Thank
We
you.
saw over the weekend that the House of Ninjas was actually, trending and it was top 10 and, people like me were enjoying it. How does that make you feel as a creator?
Oh man, it is just an amazing feeling. It's just seeing all the feedback from all over the world and people talking about it. It's like, you work on these things for so long. I mean, I've been working on this for, well over 3 years now, pretty much full time. So to finally have that out and have people see it and liking it, it's just, yeah, it's an amazing feeling.
What was that journey like for you? Especially, it seemed like a very complex thing to try to create, bringing ninjas into the modern world, but at the same time trying to keep their traditions and really everything that they stood for centuries and in a balance. It seemed like a tall task.
Yeah, it was a big job, but one thing that was nice about it is that it all just kind of started out. It just kind of, I got deeper and deeper into it as I went along. It all started as just a job, just helping them to get this project off the ground. They had this idea from Kento Kaku. They needed somebody to write a show Bible, and then that was all I was going to do. And then it was going to be adios, and then a team in Japan would take over. So I did as much research as I could in the short time that I had, and I wrote the show Bible, turned it in. Had a great reaction from Netflix, a great reaction from Kento, and then so it was like, well, maybe this guy can do a little bit more. So then I wrote one episode, and then it was like, well, maybe he could direct an episode, maybe he could direct, maybe he could direct multiple episodes, maybe, and before I knew it, I was sort of deep into it. So it's funny, this all just started as something of like, especially as a writer in Hollywood, you just never know what's gonna go, what's gonna stop. You just have to kind of do your job and keep your head down and everything. And so having this one be the one that kind of took off and took fire and got all the way, all the way into production, all the way to the end of production, and then actually gets released and then gets into the top 10 and the top non-English language series in the world on opening weekend. I mean, it's just crazy. But it just all started with a phone call, a friend at Netflix calling me being like, hey, you like ninjas? And then 3 years later, here it is, 8 episodes. So
Now, was the series always supposed to be entirely in Japanese and then dubbed, or is that something that was creatively done differently afterwards, or what was the story with the chosen language?
yeah, it was always supposed to be a Japanese language series. So this was run out of Netflix Japan, their Tokyo office. And so it was something that was always meant for primarily for Japanese audiences, and so it's doing great there, getting a great reception and everything. And then Netflix, they're obviously worldwide streaming service, so they dub it into lots and lots of different languages. And but we wrote directed it in Japanese, and then you know we once it was all done and all mixed and all finished and everything, then the localization team comes in and they dub it into English, Spanish, French, dozens and dozens of languages, so that folks can have the choice of whether to watch it with subtitles or watch it, in whatever language they like.
In your research into ninjas and the culture and traditions, what were some of the things that stood out to you?
I think the biggest thing that stood out to me is just how many rules they had. Like the no alcohol, no meat, like just really crazy dietary restrictions. Lots of restrictions on falling in love, and who to who they could love, who they could marry, all that kind of stuff. It's there were a lot of things that the other thing that surprised me was just how much inconsistency there was in recorded history. Because ninjas obviously they're good at remaining hidden, so there's just a lot of it's real easy to get into an argument with a ninja expert, if you say anything too definitive, because it's like, well, actually, we don't, but we always try to keep it within the realm of the plausible and have a good foundation of what we do know. So all the ninja clans in the series are based on the real deal, and we consulted with experts to make sure we were staying within the realm of the plausible. Even though we were we're making an all original story.
Dave, thank you so much for a few minutes. Thanks for the series. It was very intriguing, and I really enjoyed the balance between the tradition and the modern, which is, I'm pretty sure, exactly what we're going for here. So I look forward to seeing you either doing more of these or different story altogether.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Manny. Appreciate it.
Take care. Nice to virtually meet you.